I'm scared. I'm a little, you can come a little closer if you want. Okay. I am so nervous doing this with you in the room. I can't, this is, oh God, this is gonna be a lot harder than what I thought. It's already hard enough just me trying to do it on my own. Now I have to worry about you. Okay. I can't do this!
So the first book that I picked is Strange the Dream by
Dreamer.
You gonna let me talk about it?
You said Strange the Dream. It's Dreamer. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's do this again.
So the first book that I picked is Stranger the Dream.
Oh my God. We have 5 books to get through. We've already spent 5 minutes on the first one, and we haven't even gotten the title down. Hello, welcome back to a new video. I'm Sarah, and this is my husband Connor. He's joining us today because he picked my April TBR.
Yeah.
So basically I wanted to do something a little bit different with this TBR. I figured it'd be fun to have Connor go through my list of books that I either physically own or I have on my Kindle already, and then have him pick out which ones that he wanted me to read this month. So I had him pick out 5, and then we're just kind of gonna run through the titles. He's gonna give a little explanation as to what made him pick the book, and then I'll explain what it's about. So yeah, do you wanna give the first book that you picked?
Sure. So I picked Strange the Dreamer. As we see here, I don't really remember what it's about.
So this is about our main character, Laszlo Strange, who is a junior librarian. He's always dreamed of going to this mythical lost city called the Weep. So kind of think about it as like our version of Atlantis. And he stumbles upon the opportunity to go visit it when he runs into this group of travelers led by this guy called Godslayer. So he goes with them and he ends up arriving at the Weep, and when he's there, he wants to figure out, what cut off the Weep from the rest of the world, why Godslayer is called Godslayer, like what did he slay. And then there's also a blue goddess that keeps appearing in his dreams, and so he's there to kind of discover more about her. And I've heard nothing but good things about this. It's a duology. This is the first book in the duology. So why did you decide to pick this one for me? Or do you have like a reason?
Mainly I was just interested in the mystery behind it. It sounds kind of cool to go to a lost city, discover why somebody with such a epic title attained the title, especially if it's something to like stop a god or something or kill it. So I don't know, just sounded interesting and epic and mysterious.
I would agree. So that's the first book. These are in no particular order. Like I probably won't be reading these in any particular order, but this is the first book that he picked. So what's the second one?
The second book that I grabbed was An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. So yeah.
So this book is about our main character Isabel, and she lives in a world where humans and the fair folk or fae kind of live in tandem, and the fair folk can't like create anything of their own, and so they employ humans to do that. And so Isabel is a painter, and when she paints the portrait of the Autumn Prince, she paints in human sorrow on his face. Human emotion is a sign of weakness in the fair folk, and so then he takes her to his court in order to be put on trial for this crime. And on their way there, they run into some like danger, it sounds like. They end up having to kind of work together, and it's possibly fall in love. Yeah. Why'd you pick this one? This one, look at this cover. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. Kind of see it.
Yeah, this one was my last pick on the list, to be honest. The Goodreads synopsis really strongly hints that there's going to be a love story, and it just seems like a bit much. And the story felt like it was going to be a bit overburdened with some of the things it was going to try and pick. So it was one I was on the fence about, but it sounded like one I'd be interested in reading. I find the concept of just kind of like painting emotion or creating constructs out of emotion or like ethereal things really interesting, and then having a other world to run parallel to it that doesn't share those concepts, and having, I guess, it become tainted through humanity is kind of an interesting concept. So
yeah, I'm excited about this one. I was very surprised that you picked this one. I did not think you were gonna, because I had several that I thought for sure you were gonna pick. I literally only got one of them right. But I definitely did not even guess that you were gonna pick this one. So I'm excited. What is the third one that we have, sir?
this one is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal.
So this one I have heard quite a bit about. I think it's a duology, and both books are out now. But this one is about our two main characters. One of them is a hunter, and she goes into this like cursed wood to hunt food for her village. And then the other one is a prince that acts as his father's assassin. And the hunter has to keep quiet that she's a girl. People find out that she's a girl, then all the good things that she's done will suddenly be rejected, and she'll no longer be able to do it. And then if the prince shows any sort of compassion, then he's like punished by his father. And so there's like this cursed wood, and it sounds like both characters end up looking for this artifact that they think will undo the cursed wood or defeat it. While the prince gets sent out to look for this artifact, he's also ordered to kill the hunter, and it sounds like they both end up kind of having to work together because there are bigger players on the board than just the cursed forest, and the artifact may not be all that they think it is. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. It's supposed to be, I think it's inspired by Arabian mythology. I know it's set in a world inspired by ancient Arabia. So yeah, why'd you pick this one?
Basically the story sounded really cool. I liked the idea of being in a desert, and instead of like the land becoming desert, it's becoming a forest by the sounds of it. Kind of an interesting twist on that idea, and just the adventure. If it runs similar to a lot of the other stories that I've kind of experienced, about going into an uncharted territory that's super dangerous in order to find an artifact that has more to it than originally thought. It's usually a really fun story. Plus, as Sarah touched on, the concept of ancient Arabian stories and things like that sounds really cool too, because it was a really interesting piece of history where women did get to do a lot of badass stuff back then, but they had to disguise themselves as men. So it's kind of cool to see a modern representation of that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. This one's been on my pile for a little while now. And I've heard interesting things about the writing style, so I'm curious to see if I jive with it or not, but I've heard really good things about the story itself, so I'm looking forward to it. And the fourth one that we have...
the fourth one we have is Descendant of the Crane by Joan Hay.
First of all, let's admire this cover because it's super pretty. This one follows a princess who doesn't want to be a princess, but is suddenly thrust into queenhood as her father, the king, mysteriously dies. And she happens to think it was a murder, and so she enlists the help of a soothsayer, which is very illegal because magic has been outlawed, and then also a convict to help discover who murdered her father. And on top of that, there's like a lot of political unrest with shifting of power, and her circle of political advisors around her all being kind of like shifty people, and she's not sure if she can trust them or not. So it's very much a court politics based story and also a murder mystery. Why'd you pick this one? This is the one that I thought he was gonna pick. This is the only one I got right, but I had a feeling he was gonna pick this one.
Personally, I'm a fan of just anything that kind of has to do with ancient, like Chinese, Japanese, Korean history, things like that, and kind of follows themes with that. So personally, just seeing the cover kind of pulled me into it. And then on top of it, the story sounded really cool with a lot of different layers, concepts, and depth to it, with a good sense of like mythos and things like that, blended into just a interesting dynamic and power struggle between the characters if done right.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I've heard it's a lot slower paced, but I kind of like politics-centered stories to be a little slower paced. I think it really makes the tension a lot stronger in those kinds of stories. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one too. And then the last book that you picked, I don't have physically. It's on my Kindle. It's The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. This is actually an ARC. The book comes out June 8th. So the synopsis itself, there's like a lot going on in this, so I'm actually just gonna read it out to you. It's inspired by Hungarian history and Jewish mythology. It follows a young pagan woman with hidden powers and a one-eyed captain of the Woodsman as they form an unlikely alliance to thwart a tyrant. In her forest-veiled pagan village, Evike is the only woman without power, making her an outcast clearly abandoned by the gods. The villagers blame her corrupted bloodline. Her father was a Yehuli man, one of the much-loathed servants of the fanatical king. When soldiers arrive from the Holy Order of Woodsmen to claim a pagan girl for the king's blood sacrifice, Evike is betrayed by her fellow villagers and surrendered. But when monsters attack the Woodsmen and their captive en route, slaughtering everyone but Evike and the cold, one-eyed captain, they have no choice but to rely on each other. Except he's no ordinary Woodsman. He's the disgraced prince Gaspar Barani, whose father needs pagan magic to consolidate his power. Gaspar fears that his cruelly zealous brother plans to seize the throne and instigate a violent reign that would damn the pagans and the Yehuli alike. As the son of a reviled foreign queen, Gaspar understands what it's like to be an outcast, and he and Evike make a tenuous pact to stop his brother. As their mission takes them from the bitter northern tundra to the smog-choked capital, their mutual loathing slowly turns to affection, bound by a shared history of alienation and oppression. However, trust can easily turn to betrayal, and as Evike reconnects with her estranged father and discovers her own hidden magic, she and Gaspar need to decide whose side they're on and what they're willing to give up for a nation that never cared for them at all. So, like I said, a lot packed into that synopsis. What made you pick this one?
Again, just kind of like the historical themes that seem to go into it. I like the idea of various different cultures getting explored and little bits of like folklore and thing kind of getting tied into that, so where reality blends into fiction. Seems really interesting. Plus the whole kind of, again, political dialogue and conversation that goes on with it seems very interesting to me, and especially when it's individuals caught in a system that is just grinding them into the ground, and what forces are we to stand up to, you know, that kind of an idea to it. So it seems kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever ran into anything inspired by like Jewish folklore or anything like that, so I'm really excited to kind of take my first step into that area of folklore. I'm excited about it. That's another one that I've heard really good things about by people who have already read the ARC. I am really hoping that I kind of fall in that category of people who like it. Obviously, I want to like all the books that I read. So these are the books that my lovely husband here has picked for me, minus The Wolf and the Woodsman, for my April TBR. So thank you for joining me on this video. Would you like to plug anything? Any of your projects? I know you've got your own things that you work on.
If you all are into gaming, more specifically Call of Duty or anything esports or competitive related within gaming, I do a little bit of streaming, mostly just kind of Twitter interactions, a lot of projects that I can't really talk about right now, but keep on the pipeline if you're interested in any of that and you want to keep in touch. You can follow me at Scaro on Twitter. It's SKA 3 R's and an O. Yeah, and I'll link all of his socials down below next to mine in the description, as well as the Goodreads synopses for the books that we talked about in this video. If any of you have read any of these books, or if you're looking forward to reading them, let me know down in the comments. I hope that you consider sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Goodbye!